Rick without the K James presents, in my opinion, podcast.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching. Let's start with comedy 1st, all right? The comedy, you said you've been doing comedy about 4 years.
Yeah, going into 4 years. Yeah.
And I see you travel a lot, too. I see you was just down in L.A., and you're always in the Bay, and that's what sucks living out here in the Central Valley is you kind of have to travel.
Right.
Unless you want to get stuck out here.
Right. For sure.
So do you think that you do more comedy out here or abroad? When I say out here, I'm talking about, Central Valley.
Yeah. A little bit of both. I would say out here, but I do try to get out to the Bay Area as much as possible. Because it's good to kind of just branch out versus, kind of sticking in like one pocket of area of comedy. So, I definitely got to branch out.
Do you do Punchline on Sundays and shit? You done that whole wait a year?
No, I'm curious and I want to do that, but there's that whole you gotta go there and hang out and before you get called up and all that shit. And plus, it's just a matter of time. I can't do it right now because that's kind of quite of a ways for me right now. But
do you feel like comedy's different out in San Francisco than it is? And I'm asking that because I do. I feel like I don't even really like doing comedy in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna have to cut that out because it hurts somebody's feelings or some shit. I feel like just comedy is way more PC out there. And I tell people I grew up in the Def Comedy Jam era.
Yeah.
So
I heard you talk about that. Yeah,
that's the comedy that I'm always gonna do.
You know what? That's interesting because I did hear you say that on one of your your episodes on your podcast, and the thing for me is that since I'm still new, I'm still like green behind the ears and shit. Like, I kind of just want to branch out and see for myself. No pun intended, but see, like you've been doing it for way longer than me. 10 plus years, right?
Yeah.
So you've been through the ringer a little bit, and so it's like I'm still kind of new, so I kind of want to go just experienced and
you haven't
get a
had
taste
your
of
heart
it.
broken.
Yeah, that's what.
Which leads me to where I was going with this conversation.
Right.
Because I know people that know me look at me and like, man, Rick is just upset. Rick is this or Rick is that, and I'm like, no, dude. What I'm trying to do when I meet a younger comic, I don't want you guys to go through the same shit that I went through because there's no reason to fucking put people through that. For me, I tell people there's no reason to sit around for a year to wait to get a 4-minute set at Punchline or any fucking club.
Okay, yeah.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Maybe if this was 85 or 94, but it's not. We live in a different era. This is why I do the podcast.
That's interesting.
Because I feel like clubs have it backwards where they think, oh, well, you need our stage time. No. You need someone that's going to sell tickets for you. That's what you need if you're a club owner.
Okay.
And that's the way I'm trying to come at it. That's why I produce my own shows. I know we don't know each other that well, but I've produced over 150 shows myself. Put my own money up, done my own shit. And I'm not going to sit here and say every show has been successful.
Right.
But most of them have been. So when I meet a younger comic, or when a younger comic's like, oh, Rick's just jaded, Rick's just upset, Rick's not where he wants to be. It's not that. It's that I'm not going to continue doing something that's not working. And I've done it, and I'm like, at some point, man, you know how expensive it is, especially if you live in the Central Valley with gas prices alone. It's expensive to go and try to do an open mic 4 or 5 times a week outside the Central Valley.
Yeah, you know what? You hit the nail on the head because, since we're talking about San Francisco and Punchline out there, or
you got to pay a bridge toll.
Yeah, and all the other little mic. So that's why I'm kind of like reserved about it, in a sense, because that's quite quite a ways out there. You know, it's way out there. So
Yeah, there's 52 fucking weeks in a year. You're gonna
yeah,
show up 52 times till they give you the 53rd time, and you're talking about a bridge toll, a 2 item minimum is what they want you to spend. You
right,
know, the gas there. You know, that's $40 a week times
right.
52 weeks. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yeah,
That in itself, you're gonna spend like $2,000. You're
yeah.
better off spending that on cameras and shit and shooting your own shit. Like that's literally that's the way I do the math when I think about some
Oh,
shit when I hear comics. Well, Rick, I mean, you asked me just tonight. Like I could have had an opportunity to do comedy tonight, but I'm like, no, why? I'm gonna do a 10-minute set. Yes, it was here in town,
mhm.
but is it really worth it? Like I'm gonna stop. Like you see, I've got friends playing fucking board games in the next room where I help bullshit. I'd rather
Yeah.
do that because it's sometimes, man, I'm an older cat that realizes maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's not worth it. So I understand when you get excited, and believe me, I know that feeling of getting laughs. You know what I mean? I tell
Right.
people I've never been an addict. But
Yep.
it's got to be the same way being a fucking heroin addict or some shit. You know what I mean? Getting that nice high of getting off stage and people telling you, man, you killed that shit, bro.
You
Hey,
killed
let
it.
me buy your fucking merch. And I do want to put it out there. You know, Elvin got some merch and
Yeah,
shit.
baby.
So,
Comedy Live merch, baby. Yeah.
you got your
Holla.
own website?
No, I want to work on that
Oh,
next. So
see,
yeah.
shit, man. I'm trying to help you out. But since we're talking about merch, I'm gonna kind of be a little scatterbrained here
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tonight, just because I am right.
Yeah.
But I did want to shout out my sons. They made me this beautiful fucking neon light, and I hooked up the shadow box for them just because it was so touching to me
There you
that
go.
I had to do something for my son. So I appreciate that.
Shout out
It's
to the
good.
sun.
It's good when you know that you work hard as a dad, but your kids realize how hard you work. So I just wanted to take that time because when I got that sign for Christmas, I was just like, man, that touched me.
There
So
you go, man.
yeah,
That's
I
what's
just
up,
wanted to
man.
shout out my kids for that. But
That's cool.
back to comedy, man, and that's we'll make the segue into that is that's what I've noticed as a dad too, man, is sometimes, man, I'm spending $40-$50 to go do comedy when I could be taking my kids out to lunch or some shit. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
you know what? To kind of like piggyback off of that because like I'm married too, so it's like there's that as far as like to taking to consideration. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta have quality time with the wifey um and so I have to kind of balance it out, so to speak. Like I
Well,
there's
I
certain times where okay, maybe I can go this week to do a show or open mic or just kick back and just chill with the wifey. You know what I'm saying? So
and I got to commend you just for even thinking about it because I think a lot of comics, one, I say you got to be egotistical just to be on fucking stage, right? You got to want everybody's fucking attention.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But two, to know that, man, I tell people I think I lost my last marriage because I was so into my comedy career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
Where it's hard work. People
Yeah,
see the 10 minutes that you're on stage or 20 minutes or 30 or whatever position you're playing that night. But they don't see all the
the behind,
heartache
yeah, the
behind the
scenes.
scenes
Yeah,
bullshit that
right.
you're dealing with. The begging to get on this, the sending the emails, the getting the press kit, the paying for this, or you know what I mean, trying to get
Yeah,
everything right. Like people don't see that. They just see, man, you was funny. Well,
yeah.
glad I'm appreciated. But that's why I just tell younger comics, I'm like, dude, don't, because I see people running around. One of the things I tell people, I'm not sure if I've ever said this on a podcast, but when I see a comic and they list all the shows that they have for the next month or two, and they're like, hey, I've got Sacramento Punchline, hey, I've got Laughs, I've got, and I said, okay, now put that same list and put how much you're getting paid on each one of those.
Right,
I said,
right.
because 9 out of 10 of those motherfuckers, you're losing money. So just because you're out here listing all these people, you're like, -$25, -$15. I'm like, dude, I tell people, man, this is the worst addiction I've ever fucking had, bro. And that's just me being real. I know a lot of
Tell
comics.
him, Rick.
I know a lot of comics would be like, nah, see that's just because you ain't funny enough. No, motherfucker, believe me, I sell my shot glasses that are right here. I sell hell of them fucking shot glasses. I put more work into anything, but I also understand that sometimes you're just not gonna win, man.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've done a room of like 25, and so each one of those motherfuckers is shot glass, and then I've done a room of 400,
Yeah.
and then sold 2 shot glasses and been like, what the fuck was that? And they've come up and, hey, bro, you're funny. Hey, well, why don't you support? Ah, man, I ain't got $10, bro. And I'm like, fuck that. I take EBT, I take cash, I take greens, bills, dividends is what I'm talking about, goddammit. So
I take it back to the old food stamps.
yeah. I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I take Venmo, I take all that shit. So,
I gotta stop posting up my list then.
but and I say that shit, and younger comics get mad. Older comics like, man, you like, why you fucking up the game? And I'm like, no, we're fucking up the game because I feel like as comics, we need to know our worth, man. And sometimes we're
There's
willing.
that too. Yeah.
We're willing to fuck up our own regular relationships just to be the big fish, to tell other comics, man, we'll see how many gigs I'm getting.
Right.
Yeah, but what did you lose? What did you lose for that shit? You lost money. You lost time with your family. You lost, you know what I mean? And there's only so many times that, your woman, she came with you today and she looks very loving and shit. You know what I mean? I don't know you guys' relationship, but from what I've seen, like I said, like you wouldn't want to take that away from her, bro. So,
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all I wanted to tell these younger comics is just make sure it works for you too. I say that shit all the time, no matter what it is.
And you know what? I think you definitely have a point, and I guess I kind of want to ask you as well that since you've been doing it longer than I have, it kind of brings a new perspective, right? Like you, like I mentioned earlier, you've been through the ringer, the shows, the open mics, and dealing with promoters, versus with me, I'm still new in the scene. I still consider myself new in the scene, and so with you having done 10 plus years in the comedy game, uh, you know what to tell the younger comics. You know what I'm saying? Like you have that experience already.
Yeah, but I don't think they listen sometimes. And again, I'm not trying to come off as pushy. I'm not trying to make you believe what I see. I'm just trying to give you some food for thought, man. I'm that type of person that I'm going to yell out that the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to go and touch it, man, that's on you. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and that's all I'm trying to do. And I know people will act like, oh, bro, well, that's not the way it is. And I'm like, it definitely is that way. And if you don't think it is, then that's on you.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, and man, like I said, we only recently know each other, but I try to bring this comedy community together when I can.
Yeah.
And I try to help everybody out. I mean, I did everybody's video for the Bay Area's Got Talent and cut it up as best as I could, edit it, because you guys can use that video and send that link to a club or some shit. That's part of a press kit. You know what I mean? Every comic should have a press kit. Every comic should have a headshot,
Yep.
a video,
Right.
A bio. You know what I mean? And that should be part of your shit that you hear. I would like a date for this club, and and make sure it's worth it, right? For you as far as monetary. But a lot of comics don't see the business end, and I try to push that from the get-go. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, because I tell people, you got to know the business. This is show business. If you don't know the business, then you ain't gonna get the show. You know what I mean? So I try to push that on younger comics as well. But when
That's good. No, from me, I appreciate that. To hear that from a veteran comic like yourself, because like I said, I'm still new, so I'm like wide-eyed, green
Well,
behind a little green behind the ears, you know. So
I will tell you this, Elvin.
yeah.
Just even you hearing like you calling me a veteran comic, because I know other comics haters are gonna watch this shit, right? And be like, man, Rick ain't done. You know what I mean? And I don't really consider. I just feel like I'm moving in a different direction. I just know that people that I do comedy with, again, nobody sees the back end on shit. Nobody sees the hours of editing video, the putting up this, the making the fucking shadow box for my sign. This, like, that's where I know I'm gonna continually win.
Right.
But that's where I'm like a horse. I'm like a horse when I run. I just got blinders on, and I don't give a fuck what other comics are doing. That's another thing that I tell younger comics is stop worrying about what the next man is getting. What What he eats don't feed you.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Stop
I
worrying
learned
about
that
that
for
shit.
sure. Yeah, I learned
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
So focus on yourself, and if you could be friendly with people, cool. But you don't have to kiss people's ass to get what you want in this shit.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw it out there because I don't want to be preachy, and I don't want people to look at this and be like, Rick ain't done shit. He ain't got no TV credit. Because that's the way haters are. And I look at shit like, I don't have a TV credit yet.
Yeah.
I don't have a TV credit yet. I haven't been noticed by the right people yet.
Yeah.
And I said, but that's the other thing. Was I ready 6 years ago? I don't know. Like, when I make it to that point, I'll be ready.
Right.
You know what I mean? People forget. I can tell people this shit all the time. People forget the first 15 years of Kevin Hart's stand-up career. Nobody fucking knew who the fuck Kevin Hart was the first 15 years.
Takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a while. Yeah.
So, and I'm not bashing Kevin Hart because I've always loved Kevin. But I'm just saying, people act like it was an overnight sensation.
Yeah.
And if you go and hear Kevin Hart, it was like, nah, bro, I he got divorced. He was sleeping on people's couches. He was, that's just, that's the pains of the gains. You know what I mean? So it just is what it is. So,
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like for the people that may be watching this, like out of respect, the reason why I say, a veteran comic, because you know more. I mean, regardless of what people may say, you know what I'm saying? Like you've been doing it longer than me. So I got to give you at least that respect, man. Like, whatever information or knowledge you have that you may share with me or other
how much
people.
do you say you get up as far as comedy? Like once or twice a week?
At least, a couple times, 2-3 times a week.
2-3 times a week?
Yeah.
Once probably local and two times?
somewhere else like that,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I will tell you, man, I used to do comedy 5-6 times a week.
And I've heard, other comics like that. Yeah.
And I used to do it abroad.
Yeah.
I tell people, I think I put, when I had my first car, when I had the car when I started doing comedy, I think I bought that car with like 700 miles or some shit. I had 100,000 miles on that car in 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Straight up. Yeah.
So people didn't see that, and it was a big car. I had a Chrysler 300 at the time. So people didn't see that I was driving back and forth from here to the Bay.
Yeah.
I was at Tommy T's 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, again, it was one of those things like people didn't see how fast I kind of moved in that way, where I started doing comedy, and I want to say within the first year I was hosting the open mics. Then I was hosting the weekends, and then it started perpetuating. But the people that started hating on that shit is I was like, dude, it's not because I'm funnier. It's because I'm willing to work at this shit.
Yeah.
But it also got to a point where I saw that shit where I was like, is it really worth the money? You know what I mean? Because the pay wasn't. I was losing money to go do comedy.
Right.
And then it got to a point where, like I said, I learned after getting divorced, I was like, you know what? I think I gave too much to comedy.
Charlie Murphy, my main man, Ric James. That's the one you think, the comedian Ric James. Get up.
I can't hear my neighbor crying, I can't breathe.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching.